Okay, good morning, everyone. It is 8:30. I'll call today's meeting of the Clay County Board of Commissioners to order. Looking for an approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
We have a
Second.
motion offered from Commissioner Bear to approve the agenda, a second from Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Citizens to be heard today. Are there any citizens in the audience wishing to address the board on any item not on the agenda? Darren, have we had any online correspondence for this?
Madam Chair, no online correspondence.
Thank you. The next item is approval of payment of bills and vouchers.
Move to approve the bills and vouchers. Second.
A motion offered from Commissioner Krabanoff to approve, a second from Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. The next item today is the minutes from the February 3rd meeting and the work group session.
Madam Chair, I have one correction from the February 3rd meeting on page 29 of our packet. It would be CASA Bridge 36, not 26 on the first paragraph there, talking about the CASA Bridge replacement support letter. With that,
Sarah has that noted.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from February 3rd and the work group session minutes.
We have a motion offered from Commissioner Bear to approve the amended minutes and the regular minutes, and
Second.
a second from Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. I'd like to go back for a minute. I neglected in the consent to acknowledge our canine program in the sheriff's office received a very generous donation of $5,000 from Randall's Excavating. Randall's is a Clay County business. Really fortunate to have such generosity in our community, particularly around the canine program. Those donations have been vital to ensuring we have a sustainable program over there. So thank you so much for the donation. Item 2 today is a request approval for out-of-state travel. Only if you wear that the entire trip. Good morning. Are we doing the out-of-state? Yep.
Turn your mic on, Kurt.
Out-of-state travel, this year will be for Jennifer for Reno, Nevada, May 31st through June 5th. That's our annual CEU training that we get. I am not attending in person. We have our grandchild due on June 1st, so I'm staying behind to do it online. So I'm not sure my attention span can handle all that, but I will more than likely be in the office, but online, but not there. So, and then I might be in Benson doing it online where the baby's born. So, yeah, so out-of-state travel for Jennifer for the first one would be for 31 May through June 5 to Reno for annual training.
This is a budgeted item.
It is, yes. About 4 years ago, the state stopped paying for it out of the grant for everyone except just VSOs to pay out of the grant. So we had to put that in the budget. So it's been there for a few years.
Board questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
just a point of clarification. We've got the agenda here, and it's May 29th,
Oh,
June 5th.
thank you.
Sure.
Any questions for the board?
Oh, clarification. The reason why that is, Jennifer is taking the Certified Veterans Advocate course, extremely difficult, taught by lawyers. So she is stepping up her game here. So she has to start on Saturday, and the official date is starting Monday. So that's why she's going early. So we will have one of few CVAs in the state, in Clay County. So hopefully it's a 3-year process, so she'll get started this year.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Ebinger.
I'd recommend that we approve the out-of-state travel for the Veteran Service representative to attend national training in Reno from May 29th to June 5th.
A motion offered from Commissioner Ebinger to approve.
Second.
A second from Commissioner Bear. Further discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Item 2 would be the request approval for the out-of-state for the VSO DC, May 10 to May 12.
Yes, I got asked to go on the honor flight as the VSO, so I didn't know. I think it was just acknowledged that your best employee will be out of the state, so I just brought that to your guys' attention. It'll be vacation time or however you guys see fit, but it'll be a volunteer VSO status, so I will be out attending that, even though I hate flying, but figured I'd be stuffed in there with a bunch of veterans. We're safe, aren't we? So, I don't know. So I will be out of the state.
Well, congratulations, Kurt. I'll make a motion to approve out-of-state travel for Veteran Service Officer to attend the honor flight to Washington, D.C. from May 10th to May 12th.
Second.
Motion offered from Commissioner Kravinoff, a second from Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? I think it's fantastic. I just hope that you can enjoy it near as much as the joy that you bring to all of us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Any further
I've witnessed them leaving and coming home and never the full process. I got asked about 4 or 5 years ago and said, no, I hate flying, but over the years developed, I'm like, let's do it this year. So we're gonna try it.
Cool, wonderful. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. We'll go into your annual update.
Well, good morning. Our 2025 report introduction. We're gonna the services we provide, some county comparisons, payments to veterans in Clay County, property tax exemption comparisons from 2015, I believe, and then just some contact information. So myself, extremely great team we have down there. It's just not Kurt. It's all three of us basically, and putting in the hours. I mean, we go past 4:30 almost daily. So, but it's the customer service that we provide to Clay County employees is remarkable. So. Obtain military records, documents. We assist in enrolling a healthcare system. That's primary R1. That's with service connections or just healthcare benefits income-wise. That's our primary one. Compensation claims, that's daily occurrence with appointments. Home loans, financial assistance, MDVA benefits. We work with the state for MDVA benefits, honors, briefings, death and burial, voc rehab. We appeal decisions working with their power of attorney for claims service organizations, the VF, the VA, the American Legion, the DAV. And we just assist with overall general benefits. You know, when I took the job, now it's been a decade, long time. Enjoyed every minute of it, but no one said you had to be an accountant, a counselor, and everything involved in the job. But it's been very rewarding. So, SSAP, these are state grants, special needs grants. That's a once in a lifetime grant that a vet can apply for if they qualify, and that ranges from fixing a furnace, putting in a furnace, in an air conditioner, a car repairs, anything that keeps them in their home or gets them to work, steps, you know, in the front of their house. So it's once in a lifetime. use it wisely, we say. So not everybody qualifies. There are some financial constraints, but not much. Dental and optical grants with subsistence, those have some financial barriers to their income to apply. So we have 3,419 vets according to the polls, whatever they do annually. MDVA is recording that. I want to say that's about 7,000 in my books, but that's the official number published by MDVA. Our SSAP for 2025 was $93,030 compared to $74,890 last year, so we upped it a little bit. Just a little comparison, Anoka County, they have 19,024 vets, 5 times and a half more than us. They did $45,000. So it varies. It's putting in the work. This is a long application and many supporting documents that go with these. Washington County, they have 4 times as much, and they did just over 5,000 more than we did. So for a smaller county, the numbers just show that we're compared to bigger counties, putting in the applications and approval rate too. So payments to Clay County, these can vary. Some are retro pay, meaning that we put the claim in January and it gets done in August. It goes back to January for retro payments. So these all fall in the month. And then we move it over to, if it's done in August, some money goes into February, March, April, May, all the way to August. So $765,824.53 for 2025 in payments to Clay County veterans. Property tax, I started in 15 and we started recording these. I just went back to 2020. Clay County as a whole, not the city, Clay County had 113 and we're 2025 had 223 property tax exemptions. That's for a veteran rated 70% or higher with the VA. 70% to 100 is 150,000 currently. Off their homesteaded property tax market value. So if their house is 300, they get 150 relief, they pay on 150. 100% permanent total, the highest you can get is a $300,000 benefit. So 300,000 house, they break even, they pay on school. The specials are not included in that, but that doesn't add up to a whole lot. So. City of Moorhead, 186 in 2020, we're at 347 for a combined of 570 total properties tax exemptions. Legislation this year is a big one for us to try to get the 150 to, there's many variations out there, but 150 to 200 and the 300 to 400 is the push. One of our goals this year is to try to get that through, along with other things, but that falls in there. Just some numbers, 24, 19, 26. I didn't put last year, I think it was 19, 17. We uploaded 4,217 dockets and talked or phoned or something to 4,260 communications. I think that's averaging what we did in 2024 as well. A little bit higher this year. And then me. And the big thing is thank you. Over the last decade, I can't thank you enough. The commissioners that I've had have supported our office, our veterans of Clay County. It's great to have a supporting staff and to support my craziness. So, and that'll continue till I retire. So it's the way I cope for the day and get through the hectic, but I enjoy it, and I'm grateful for the position, so.
Thank you, Kurt. Any questions on the presentation?
other than say thank you and incredible work. Those numbers are outstanding.
It's a team effort.
Yeah.
It ain't Kurt by
When we
himself.
go down there, it's fun to be down there in the office with you.
Yeah, set a good atmosphere.
Yeah.
That's how you, I think, get through the day. Jennifer's birthday tomorrow too, so come by if you're in town.
25.
Yeah.
Well, I just want also to echo the sentiments. We have been really fortunate to have such a wonderful leadership group in your office. Your staff treat our veterans in such an amazing way. And, you know, you think about uploading 4,217 documents. That's a feat. And if you've ever worked with someone who was challenged by uploading a single document, you know how important that is for them, particularly with benefits. But you make something that could be quite frustrating, just habit, and you do it. So thank you for continuing to meet the needs of our veterans in our community. And you're always so eager to just get to work and get it done. I know you've yourself fixed an air conditioning unit for a veteran on a very hot day, and we really appreciate
It was hotter in the house.
which is why you were fixing it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome. Thank you, guys. Really.
Okay, item 4 today then would be a request approval for a vehicle replacement in our sheriff's office. Good morning, Sheriff.
Sheriff? You're a tough act to follow. Yeah, you know. I knew you were coming. I was glad I was coming before everybody asked for money. They'd been a little crabbier.
Only you. Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Thanks for having me here this morning. I am here today to request to lease 2 Ford Expeditions for our Warrants and Transports Division. How this all came about is we did initially order vans for them and had them upfitted, and something changed somewhere from 2021 to 2025 and 2026 specifications in the vans. And it's not allowing the driver's seat or the passenger seat to go back any further than what it can now. And the warrants, 2 of the guys in the Warrants and Transports Division are somewhat taller in stature, and it's causing them to not be very comfortable in the vans on their long trips. And you'll hear next week during my board update that last year they put on 11,000 more miles in 2025 than they did in 24. So they do have some long trips that they're taking, and it's getting to be very uncomfortable for them. We did try and work with our installer in an effort to see if we could get those cages pushed back a little bit further. And that is something that they said they would be willing to do, but they would be fabricating their own brackets, and they would want us to sign off on a liability waiver. So if something did happen, that they weren't going to be held liable for it. And that's just not something that I wanted to put my name on. And I don't think the county would want to put their name on anything like that either. So I didn't even present it to our county attorney. As you can see, I'm not requesting any additional funds for this. And initially, the thought was to turn those vans back in, but we had very little equity in them through enterprise leasing. And one night I was at home thinking about this, and I thought, well, one of the investigators asked for a van. It just blends in a little bit better, things of that nature. And we have more equity in his 2023 Durango, so if we turned around and sold his Durango and issued the van to him, that could save us there. And then it turned out the next day when I talked to Lieutenant Schroeder, there was actually 2 investigators that wanted vans. So this is actually turning out and working in our favor. So we would take those 2 investigator vehicles, turn those back into enterprise leasing, in which we have more equity built up in them, in those Dodge Durangos, than we do the vans. And then issue the vans out to the investigators, and then get these set up and upfitted with cages in them for transports.
I think we've also talked, you know, those Durangos have been nice, but you wanted to get back to the Expedition Tahoe / chassis, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And we're just having more and more equipment that we're putting in vehicles. And even for our investigator vehicles, we have different type of boxes in the way back to secure their firearms and things of that nature. So it eats up a lot of space.
Questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
I move to approve the lease of 2 Ford Expeditions for the Sheriff's Office.
I'll second that.
Motion offered from Commissioner Ebinger, a second from Commissioner Bear. Further discussion?
Makes sense.
That
Bigger vehicles.
That enterprise leasing really seems to be the ticket. We've really saved a substantial amount of money doing that.
Yeah, and this is just proving where it's assisting us in this matter, where, you know, we had a vehicle come this year, and it's like, it didn't work for us just because we weren't aware of the specification changes, and to be able to just take that van, issue it out to an investigator, and then take his vehicle, which we have more equity in, and sell that, that just made sense. So this just proves its value.
Any further discussion?
When do you think you'll have these up and running?
Up and running, I'm not sure. I do know Enterprise has them currently on hold for us, so as soon as we can get them here, I know our squad upfitter will get them in as soon as possible, just because he knows the situation, predicament we're in.
Perfect.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried.
Thank you.
Your next item, Sheriff, is a request approval of the MOU and body-worn cameras addendum with the Marshals Task Force.
Yeah, so what this is just updating our current U.S. Marshals Task Force addendum or MOU, I'm sorry, with our current signatures and things of that nature. The current MOU dates back to Sheriff Berquist, and we just wanted to get current signatures on there. On top of that, we added the body-worn camera addendum to just explain who gets that data and when the camera should be operated and where's that data going to go, et cetera, after the fact. This was reviewed by our county attorney and approved to move forward as well.
Okay. Any questions? Brian, any questions?
One question, Madam Chair. How long is this good for?
This will be good for until it gets brought up again, yep.
Till names change or?
Till names change, exactly, yeah. And what this does, it allows the person that's working on that task force to have him be eligible for overtime reimbursement when they're working the U.S. Marshal case.
Any further discussion? Commissioner Ebinger?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the MOU with WC Addendum to allow execution by the current sheriff and maintain Clay County's ongoing participation in the U.S. Marshals Task Force.
Thank you, Commissioner Ebinger. We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Carried. Item 6, Sheriff, is a request approval to update the MOU with the U.S. Postal Inspection Service Task Force.
Yes, again, this is very similar. There's a new postal inspector, special agent in charge, so it's just updating with their information and our current information. The one thing with this particular MOU, it not only provides overtime eligible reimbursement to the sheriff's office for that deputy working, but it also provides an $850 a month vehicle stipend back to the sheriff's office that we put into internal service for squad car reemplacement for that deputy. And what I am doing for this particular squad car, and I should mention for the others, we're doing a 5-year lease on those, and it brings the cost down a little bit more. So this particular squad car costs us $883 a month to lease. As you see, we're getting the $850 a month stipend, so it's about $33 for us.
Quite a deal.
Yeah.
This for the sheriff?
Yeah. I don't. I'll make a motion, though. Motion to approve the updated MOU between the Clay County Sheriff's Office and the U.S. Postal Inspection Task Force.
I'll second that.
Motion offered from Commissioner Krabanoff to second from Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Carried.
Thank you.
Item 7 today is a request approval of the proposed new position, the Facility Integrity and Compliance Coordinator for West Central Regional Juvenile Setting. Good morning, James.
Morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Yeah, I'm here today to seek permission to implement a Facility Integrity and Compliance Coordinator. This position was approved by the PIC last week, and then for some background, it's part of our 2026 budget. I brought it before my advisory board in July of 25 prior to the budget being approved at that level. And then I brought it again in January of this year, just understanding that all the counties have a lot of financial constraints going on, and just brought it before all the counties again, explain the need again, and they reiterated that the need for the position is definitely still there. Just kind of, the need for the position kind of is many-fold, but, there's kind of two major reasons and developments that's been happening in Minnesota. One is the lack of appropriate mental health placements across the state, leading kids to be either boarded in hospitals, correctional facilities like ours, or just, in hotel rooms, social service offices, all that sort of stuff. But we're getting a lot of youth with mental health issues, significant mental health issues that shouldn't be with us, that are with us for extended periods of time. And the other piece of that is the new SBS rules, which is safety-based separation rules. We made arrangements going into that, adjusted for that with staffing, but what we didn't anticipate was the amount of regulatory, reviews that are happening and how often we're having to respond to investigations from the state. So juvenile facilities, although we're licensed by the DOC, we're licensed underneath 2960, which is shared with DHS, and DHS does a lot of the investigations. So, so we get kind of double looked at a lot of times. I included in the packet, the attachment B there, it just kind of illustrates kind of the regulatory oversight that's currently happening in Minnesota. Basically, in this case, there's significant mental health use that was in a facility in Minnesota. The NAACP was involved in that, and it just kind of goes on and on. Basically, the facility was doing what they were licensally obligated to do, but they failed to have some documentation that came after the site. Basically, it's a lot of issues and complexities are being put on. So, let's see here. Yeah, so basically I'm looking for a position that is centralized oversight, regulatory compliance, an increased, highly scrutinized juvenile justice program. Basically, right now, the oversight is done by, myself, Josh, or the unit supervisors, and that gets spread out. I included in that one a time study that I did back about 7 months ago, and just responding to SBSs alone is about 33 hours of work. And so basically I'm looking for somebody that we can hire, a professional that's going to be responsible to review all the SBSs and incident reports. This is going to be a person that's it's going to need to be very, very well rehearsed in 2960, an expert in 2960, and also can communicate via written communication very, very well. And this position will be the core responder. So when the state calls and asks a question about an incident that happened 3 months ago or something like that, that this person will already have a file on that incident and basically will be inspection ready at all times. Instead of getting a call about an incident, it's currently and then I have to review it, find it, and then start investigating from there. So I'd like to be on the front side of things. Is there any questions?
Yes, Commissioner Kravinoff and then Commissioner Ebinger.
Yeah, sounds very complex. I'm just curious, have these type of rules or guidelines, however you want to look at, some obviously are mandatory, have they been, do they, I don't know what I'm saying, have they been building up quite a bit over the last few years as far as more regulations, or I'm just saying is some of this pretty standard to what I understand the time element, but it's work that you've been doing all along anyway?
Yeah, so, yeah, to answer the question, it has been building up, there has been increasing primarily around the SBS. Anytime we separate a youth from the other youth, there is new language in the rules now. And that documentation alone is what's a huge driving piece of what all this exists. Anytime we separate a youth from the other youth, there's half-hour check-ins, and then every hour, basically, it's got to be articulated what we're doing, what we're doing to get the youth back integrated, why we can't, and justify why we can't, and what are we doing to get over that justification so we can get the youth back into the program again. And that happens steadily, and then every 4 hours, there's a bigger report that goes with that, and then at 8 hours, we have to trigger something to our licensing, and just
So
kind of
you've been
build from there.
doing that type of thing long enough. I mean, you have it figured out how it flows down in non-secure then?
In non-secure?
Oh, in secured area on this? This is all secured?
Yes, the SBS and most of our, and it does some of our incident reports. We'll get into the non-secure stuff, but the SBS stuff, safety-based separations, mostly insecure, because in non-secure, it's not really an issue, but there is mental health incident reports and stuff that does occur in that area as well.
Okay, thank you for that.
Commissioner Ebinger?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'm on the advisory board. This was well-received, and James pointed out by counties that are running a lot tighter to meet their budget than we are. West Central has proven to be fiscally a very desirable operation. It pays for itself, and there is surplus left over to maintain the facilities and get the work done. One of the things that I think we're most proud of is the accountability and the efficacy of our staff. State of Minnesota is not cutting any slack for what we've done up to now. Every time there's an incident, there's the same level of scrutiny directed at us as anybody else, and the credibility is ours to lose if we don't have staff that can get these things done. So I strongly recommend that we do this. And having said that, I will make a motion to hire a facility integrity and compliance coordinator at line 17 for the West Central Regional Juvenile Center Secure Unit. Also, with permission to backfill if the position is filled internally.
Thank you, Commissioner Ebinger. We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Bear.
I just have one question that occurred to me. Do you have people on staff that are interested that already have the capacity to do this work?
There's a lot of staff that we have that are, and then there's a lot of staff in our facility right now that are probably going to be interested in the position, because there's a lot of knowledge, and we've been able to retain a lot of staff over the years. So we're very grateful in that. One of the things that we're going to be really looking for is written and oral communication.
This did go through PIC. We did approve of it. Moving forward to this discussion, if you had any additional pieces, since this is new, but it was part of the budget process, as noted. It went through the advisory committee also. My question is in regards to dealing with the Office of Inspector General, and I think having this in our facility continues to make us a leader in the state in what we're doing. I think what you proposed, it makes it the most sense. Are we seeing an increase in the time required to deal with some of the issues coming out of the Office of Inspector General?
Not so much the Inspector General. It's coming from DHS, which might be their Inspector General wing of DHS, and the DOC has one too. But yeah, there's lots of requests coming out of those. The DOC is our main licensor. However, anytime there's a complaint that occurs, it seems to be DHS's side that's coming in and looking at that with a lot more scrutiny and detail. And the DHSs tend to be less responsive than the DOCs too when we ask them a question in general, so.
I was at a meeting in St. Paul Friday and we talked, or Thursday, we talked about this same issue where you're getting conflicting interpretations of rules from DHS and DOC and how that, I mean, we've talked about this at length, but how that can financially really start to affect facilities and continue to keep us updated when that starts to happen. I know it happens continually, but when it starts to happen to a point where we're seeing some disruption in service, let us know.
Will do.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried.
Thank you.
Is Justin outside?
Here he comes.
Good morning. Justin, we have a request approval of the temporary promotion of the road foreman to maintenance supervisor. This is something we discussed at PIC last Tuesday as well, but due to the guidelines, wanted to make sure it came before this board.
Yeah, so currently our maintenance supervisor is out on paid family medical leave, and it's looking like it's gonna be eight or more weeks. So what I'm looking to do is promote our road foreman to our maintenance supervisor temporarily, and then in turn also making one of the maintenance workers acting road foreman, and then that would be an additional $2 per hour per the union contract. And kind of what this does is, obviously, we're in the middle of winter, so our maintenance supervisor and our road foreman kind of split the county at Highway 10, and one takes north and one takes south. So this would just kind of make us be a little bit more flexible, especially with potential weather coming this week. And then once that employee does come back, then it would just go back to the way it is now.
Question?
Well, that was, Madam Chair, I was gonna ask, what happens when the employee comes back, but he addressed that. So.
Yes, Darren.
Just a note on that also, Madam Chair, that I have talked to the union, and they are okay with our process here. So we shouldn't get any pushback the way we're doing it.
There was one additional piece, Justin, that we talked about Tuesday to bring forward. Was it the union? Any further discussion on this?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the temporary promotion of the road foreman to maintenance supervisor.
We have a motion offered from Commissioner Bear to approve,
I'll second.
and a second. That reflects the increase in pay as well.
Yes.
Both?
Okay.
Okay. Well, we wish our road foreman the best in his recovery as well. Make sure he knows that. We appreciate the work they do. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries. Request approval of Resolution 2026-06 for the small city street allotment.
Yeah, so this is a resolution that I bring forward every February. So it is the funding that goes to non-state aid cities for the work done on city streets. And then if you looked at previous resolutions in the past, this was also when the city of Moorhead turnback payment would also be included. So this one is significantly less than it normally was.
Questions for Justin?
One question, Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Bear.
They receive this allotment once a year?
Correct.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2026-06 for a small city street allotment.
A motion offered from Commissioner Kravinoff to approve the
Second.
resolution, a second from Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Carried.
Thank you.
Do you want to go? Okay. We'll do our update from the attorney's office, since we are ahead of schedule. Yeah, good morning, Mr. Melton. Good morning, Ms. Foss.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Thank you for having us. I don't have a jacket like Kurt, so sorry.
Kurt Cannon had a USA blazer,
We were all black.
Stars and Stripes, 4th of July type thing.
It was quite a show. So. Right. Yeah, there you go. Right.
Oh my gosh.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners, for having us today. It's always nice to be able to present here in front of you. I think a lot of times we seem like the county attorney's goes at the end, which is always interesting because we get to see a lot of the others that have gone before us, and we obviously work across a great deal of the different departments within the county itself. Obviously, just very glad to be here and appreciative of the opportunity. Obviously, our mission to be able to promote justice and work through public safety, prosecute crime is a primary piece, as well as protecting those in need through children protection, need of protection and services, juvenile criminal matters, and then representing all different departments across Clay County. Obviously, I've got Pam here, Ms. Voss here with me today. Katie Stock couldn't be here as our two chief assistants within the office that do a great deal of work. A lot of stuff going on. We'll talk through some of it here today. My budget, around 2.5 million. I think it's gone up a little bit from that, but primarily salaries, trial expenses that we have. Our clearance rates still are very good compared across the state. We clear about 88% of cases. Somewhere between 6 to 10% are typically in warrant status over time. I know the board's very aware we've had some volatility within staff for a period of time, but we are fully staffed now. So I don't even want to talk about it, but I'll knock on wood to make sure we're staying. But both chief assistants, obviously, 10 assistant county attorneys, 7 legal assistants and other office staff, and then 5 victim service staff. Our case totals remain pretty steady, somewhere around, right around 2,000 new cases per year that we're processing through. And then technology, obviously, is a very important piece that we continue to work through and continue to be on the cutting edge, both through our office, the courts. We do secured file transfer for all disclosure now, which helps not having to copy onto discs or sticks, those types of things. And probably one of our biggest issues that we're going to see continue throughout the future, video evidence is a expected thing, common thing that we use daily within contested hearings, within trials. That storage of all that is a big matter between our office and IT, and likely require new software for management of all that into the future. Again, crime remains generally steady and around the same amount due to population growth. Drug use within the community has a piece to everything that we do. Grand juries are important to us. That's where if we have bigger cases, very serious cases, premeditated murder, some of those types of things. We did have 1 grand jury last year. Our child in need of protection or service cases continue to remain steady. We'll show some stats here in just a future about that. Our mental health commitments also steady, increasing over time. We just see a lot of mental health pieces that I know the board is very familiar with within different committees that we work with. And then our civil work is a lot of different things going on, obviously, within the county that we cut across. The office staff, the legal assistants there, I like to give a picture of them. They're not always seen as much. They're doing a lot of the work every day. If you look at some of the trial preparation of cases that we have to be ready to go for trial, if they ultimately come up, most of them resolve. But 412 trials that were prepared last year. That includes 1,300 subpoenas, notices to law enforcement, and then disclosure, 3,200 plus pieces of disclosure sent out, 11,000 e-filed items with the court as we move through cases and process them. Administrative subpoenas that we help support law enforcement with to help gain information or help them when they're doing investigations. And then other individuals that are out there that have failed to appear or have warrants, writs that they've been arrested in other states, that type of thing, and they need to be processed and brought back here. We had 52 of those, and those continue to increase at all times. So a lot of work going on. The ladies there in the office do a tremendous amount of work, put a lot of effort in everything they do, and so we really appreciate all the work they do. Again, like I said, Ms. Foss is here today, and I'll let her talk through just the criminal division.
Good morning. Thank you for having us here. Thank you. Thank you for having us here, giving me the opportunity to talk about the criminal team that we have down in our office. Right now, we have 7 attorneys, or 6 attorneys, 7. We have Caitlin Herlock, Brittany Hartzell now, she got married, so we've got a name change there. Megan Kelly, Jackson Elmquist, Michael Ewan, Cecilia Knapp, and Ashley Turner. Cecilia is on leave right now, but expected to come back next month, so we'll be very happy to get her back in the office. But they are our attorneys, they are split up, their caseloads, different areas. Some do property crimes, some do drug crimes, some do the crim sex and the more assaultive person crimes in our office. Just kind of an overview of last year, we had 60 criminal trials last year that went through verdict. That is triple from the year before. The year before, we had 10. So we have been very busy with jury trials in the past year. This was probably the first year that I can remember that every single member of the criminal team actually had at least one jury trial. Sometimes it's clumped to mainly person crimes or something like that, or there's not a lot of trials, but this past year, every single one of our criminal attorneys had at least one jury trial. A couple of them had about 5 or 6. So lots of jury trials, a lot of work by the whole team. Like Brian mentioned, we had 1 grand jury for a first-degree murder. The year before, we had 2 grand juries for murder cases. So the grand juries, at least for murders, were down this past year. With the jury trials, when you look at appeals, when we try those cases that have the serious consequences or the prison sentences, they normally result in an appeal. So when we have high years of jury trials, we know the next year is going to be a high year of appeals. Right now we have 14 pending. We've had 6 come in since January 2nd. So we are not only working on the litigating in the court in the district court, but a lot of our attorneys are now working in the appellate court as well, writing the briefs and doing the oral arguments. So it will be a busy year of appellate work as well. I just threw in some of the stats for our convictions. We had 3 murder cases resolved that it resulted in about 787 months of prison. We had 4 attempted murders that we either went through trial or resolved for 753 months. Again, the drugs and the weapon charges, as usual, were pretty high. They come with pretty high prison sentences, so we had 16 either drug or weapons crimes that resolved. We actually had a carjacking, which is a newer statute in Minnesota, but we have seen those come through as well. And we had a criminal vehicular homicide that also resolved. As for the drug seizures or work within our community, we had 44 first or second degree drug sale cases charged out. We seized 155 fentanyl pills from the community, 340 grams of powdered fentanyl. Up dramatically, I think, from last year was the amount of meth that was seized, and certainly the amount of cocaine. We had one big case that had a lot of cocaine seizure that we were able to get off of the streets and get those individuals charged.
I think it is worth saying 30 criminal jury trials, not 60. I think when we said that originally, it's 30 as in the slide, which is still up greatly. You know, we've averaged for a long time somewhere in the 25 to 30 range for a long time, and then they went down remarkably over the COVID years and then kind of stayed very low for quite a period of time. But we're back around, and that's averaging 2 or a little bit more than that per month, which is about right, like Pam said. More attorneys getting more familiar with the trial piece and everything. I will say this year looks to be extremely busy. As you might know or understand, the idea is sometimes those bigger cases, some of the murder cases that we've had some different defendants that were what we call Rule 20, but not competent to stand trial. It takes a long period of time to get them back up to competency, so that's happened. And so we have some murder trials, a couple different cases that have moved quicker, but several that were slower are all kind of coming at one time. So I know Ms. Foss has a very busy schedule for murder trials coming up this year, so it's going to be a very hectic year, I think, on the trial side of things. So.
And then one other thing that I wanted to note about our office is that we do have a high volume of violent crimes, which means a high volume of victim needs. That's one thing I think our office really focuses on, is keeping the public safe, but also when we have these victims of these violent crimes, like being supportive of them, trying to make those victims whole, which I think will come up later in the presentation. But we had 174 new domestic-related offenses opened in the past year. We had 70 sexual assaults or child sexual assaults, or CSAM, or used to be called child pornography cases, or predatory offender cases. We had 70 opened in the past year, and 94 assault or serious assault or robbery cases. That means we have a lot of victims with a lot of needs that not only are suffering either economically or emotionally from the event itself, but the stress of going through a trial. So one of our highlights, and we talked about it, I think, last year, is we are working towards getting a facility dog in the office that will help with those victims to navigate through the process. We are top on the list, is what I'm said, for the next dog that comes through, so we're hoping within the next few months we will have that dog in the office and get that training going. What? We haven't in our office before, no. So this will be the first time. It's a kind of a new thing in Minnesota, but a lot of agencies are jumping on board. I know Polk County Attorney's Office, they just got one in October. From the same place that we're hoping to get one. I've met that dog, so they're really helpful in this.
I think as the board might remember, we presented before, and we had been told that it could be anywhere from 6 to 12 months, but in fact, we were hoping it'd be shorter, but it really has been close to about a year now. So that's just the way it goes, but we are anxious and hoping that it'll come sooner than later, so. In regard to the civil division, the 3 attorneys that work with Ms. Stock, James Lopez, Reed Thomas, Melissa McCabe, both Reed and Melissa are newer within the office, but they're doing a terrific job for us. Looking at some of the numbers, the CHIPS cases, about 66 cases. We had 3 termination of parental rights trials last year. Those are regularly appealed. Our truancy work, both between the civil office and then also with the victim witness service and juvenile services that I know Michelle will talk about here shortly. But constantly working to work on truancy. We know that truancy is important just because that can kind of be that tip of the iceberg if a child's missing school that can show or lead to other difficulties that child might be experiencing. So we do the county attorney mediation program where we invite parents to come in before we have to file a CHIPS, involving that family and involving that juvenile to just stress on them the importance of getting into school and being productive, understanding their place in society. So we've been doing that for the last 2 years, and it's been very successful. The MAFPA, the Minnesota African American Family Preservation and Child Welfare Disproportionality Act that I know you're familiar with and have seen from Quinn, we know that's coming up as a piece that will be impacted by as well. I think largely when we look at everything that's going to happen with that, we believe that the real impact is up front to social services and the work they have to do. It may even cause some of our numbers to go down a little bit in the CHIPS area just because it's about reunification and keeping the child out with family members. So we'll see how that goes, but we're prepared for it and prepared for its implementation. So I think it should go pretty smooth within our office. Our juvenile cases, you can see they're up a little bit. It's good to have the SROs back in the school. That's obviously helps us to have eyes on and see what's out there, as well as, again, juvenile services from our office that are in the schools. We have seen an increase in some of the more serious crimes within the schools. Fentanyl pills within a middle school, that's pretty serious. We just haven't really seen that kind of thing. Some firearms issues also that, again, we're looking to address those and stay on top of those along with law enforcement. And then lastly on this slide, the law change that goes into effect August 1st of 2026, where 10 through 12-year-olds will no longer be considered, if they have an act that's regularly considered a crime, it will not be considered a crime any longer. That will be a child in need of protection or services matter. And I think how that impacts is more than likely what you'll see is a lowering of the juvenile case numbers, but you're going to see an increase within the CHIPS cases when those matters come, be more directed towards getting the parents to be involved instead of putting them into the juvenile system. So that's how we look at that, and we'll see where that impact comes, and we'll probably have some bigger numbers for you next year. I think one of the things that Ms. Stock really wanted to highlight is the work we've done with adoptions, and I do think it's a terrific amount of work and very interesting and productive, and the next slide I have too just demonstrates it within a graph, but back in 2022, when we were looking at average days that a child that was looking at adoption was in foster care, they were at around an average of 883 days, almost 3 years that they were there, and that just had to do with a lot of the, wasn't that they were just languishing, but a lot of the work that went into it, private attorneys trying to work through the whole process and everything. And then we adopted a more streamlined approach where we're doing the majority of the paperwork up front for them, and that really worked to drop the days that a child is in foster care. So we went from 883 days down to 570, down to 497, and the average days last year through 2025 were 205 days. And so you just look at that financial impact or cost that's a child in foster care every day, just the work that socials workers are doing, mileage, meals, the travel time, all that. It really helps to reduce costs, caseload, stress that's on that system. So they should be very proud of themselves, the work they did. It's just a graph demonstrating the amount of time and the fact that increased, the decrease in time in foster care for those children is around 77%. So they really need to be complimented on that work that's been going on. Our guardianships were fairly limited last year, but that's usually about average 9 to 12, somewhere around there. We're seeing higher levels of litigation in some of those get more contested. Our commitments are up, which we've kind of expected and seen, that just a lot of different mental health issues that are ongoing. Rule 20s are, again, cases where individuals have committed a crime but have mental health issues, and then they're not processing through the court currently. They're instead going through mental health treatment and that type of thing. So we've had quite a few of those as well. Adult foster care license revocations was another piece that Ms. Stock wanted to highlight, because we have seen that where instead of the child foster care side of things, this is adult foster care for adults that are vulnerable, so vulnerable adult issues. But we had seen abuses in the past, and where you see some of that fraud, I think it's good for the board to know that social services has done a terrific job of ferreting that out, finding that out, and stopping it. So a lot of the cases that we've had, the last 5 or 6, they've identified that early. They've been successful. They've been successful on appeal, and a lot of those cases are now cases that are being seen in court when they're discussing some of the fraud type things that you're seeing down in the Twin Cities. They're referencing back to Clay County cases. So they've done a great job, both social services as well as the attorneys that have worked on those cases. And then financial recovery side of things, our forfeitures, we took in about $39,000 in forfeiture money last year. Our billing for child support and welfare fraud that we can get from the state, again, around $17,000. We've had several tax court appeals. Those are businesses that are working with and disputing issues through Jill with the assessor's office. And so we work through those. They are complex litigation. They involve lengthy discovery and work. And then the probate work that we've done over the last few years when Katie came on, I think also needs to be highlighted. We didn't always see some of those numbers getting money back, you know, the money that's owed for medical assistance and those types of things that can and should be recovered. We've done a good job of bringing that in. So those are important numbers to look at as well. We had contract litigation last year. We were able to recover about $135,000, and so that was good work within the civil team. And then obviously just continue to advise all the county departments. I talked a little bit last week, just in my update, when Mark Sloan was talking about ADA compliance, we have a lot of compliance issues that are ongoing, and so our documents that we use, proposed orders, when we do motions and everything else to the court, now need to be in a ADA compliance form. So we have over 200 proposed orders that we provide to the court. So we're working through all those now to have them updated and correct here by April. So that's a big project that the legal assistants are working on. With that, I know Michelle's here, and I'll let her jump in to talk victim services and juvenile diversion.
Sorry to bump the time up.
That's okay. Good morning. I'm glad it was here, so thank you. So as far as our victim services and juvenile diversion team, we have currently, we're in negotiations with filling our part-time victim witness coordinator position. That individual would be working primarily with our juvenile matters and then some of our adult case load as well. That's a 20-hour-a-week position. That's been really helpful for just some of the increases that we're seeing and the severity of cases that kind of take away time from other coordinators as well to kind of fill in. So Lexi Gomez is, I think, on her, started her fifth or sixth year here with the county as a full-time, she's the 40-hour victim coordinator that works primarily with our domestic violence type cases. And then Nikki Erickson she's on her 17th year here with the county, and she does a lot with our property-related offenses, but really has taken on a higher level of some of our more serious personal crimes as well, just again because of the nature of what we're taking in and how we can kind of spread that out amongst all of the coordinators that we do have. As far as our juvenile diversion and restorative justice, we have Lucas Brandon still in the role of our coordinator for restorative practices, and he's at a full-time level. And then Peter Ferguson was who we were able to bring in part-time at 20 hours for the duration of our restorative practices initiative grant that we received from the state. So both of those individuals are out in the schools. Lucas is someone who travels out in all of the Clay County school districts. Peter is primarily focused on Moorhead schools, most often at Horizon, just because that's where a lot of our needs are being met with the cases that we're seeing there. For victim services, we continue to provide support and assistance to victims and witnesses throughout the criminal justice system. I would say in years past, our kind of from incident to trial, we would normally say maybe that would take about 9 months to a year's time. I would say we have cases now that are on that 2 to 3 year mark. So the length of time that we're continuing to work with some victims throughout the criminal justice system has definitely extended just because of I think the volume of cases, the severity of cases, and just the reality, I think, of the justice system and the caseloads that the judges are seeing as well. So we do feel like we're having, a lot of our connections are kind of a little more lengthy than what we've experienced too in the past. But we want to make sure that we're still providing victims their information for their rights to be able to enforce and ensure those throughout our court processes, provide with those court notifications, assist with any restitution and reimbursement that they might have available to them, attend court with them, and then really connect them to some of the referrals and resources in our community. And then with restitution, this is a big piece that I know Nikki provides for our office, which has been super helpful. She just is really knowledgeable and just really competent in working through some of our restitution requests. So we had 43 requests for just individuals for reimbursement that amounted to $296,000 that were able to be requested back from defendants, and then 46 businesses requested a total of $3,444,000 in this last calendar year. Committee work, so we're each coordinator kind of has some designation based on their caseload. So we do participate in the Elder Abuse Committee that's designated to Clay County. Our domestic violence court is something that Lexi assists with and kind of co-facilitates with the Rape and Abuse Crisis Center. We have a human trafficking committee that we're involved in, our juvenile law enforcement committee, the Clay County Collaborative, Safe Roads, our Restorative Practices Advisory Committee, and then Lucas is a part of one of the stakeholders with the Family Resource Center. So I think all of that connection allows us to learn what's going on, be kind of at the front end of changes as they happen, but also make sure that those partners know what services that we're able to offer to those individuals too. There'll be another request for proposals for another grant for our Crime Victim Services grant. That's been one that we've continued to have, I know throughout my duration here, I'm sure back into the 1990s there was probably funding. So we've maintained and continue to seek out funding to help support some of the costs with our program. This year is a competitive grant. I know they've already talked about there's going to be a reduction in what dollars are available from the state. I did meet with my grant manager. The challenge I see is that we aren't really viewed as, we're viewed more rural at times, and so we get similar grant funding than some of our very rural counterparts. You know, even Norman County, I think, is similar because the state just kind of disperses based on geographical regions. And so I've been working with her to show how we can better align the work that we're doing, the cases that we have, and try to correlate that better with the grant funds that we receive, because I do think it could be more proportionate is kind of my goal here too in this next cycle. With the juvenile referrals, I just wanted to take a look at 24 and 25. So we received 253 referrals for our juvenile diversion program. 42 of those were for outside of the Moorhead area. 180 were within Moorhead. 31 could be individuals who committed an offense in Moorhead but don't necessarily reside here. So we've had some juveniles maybe who are in Fargo, or they've gotten traffic things but they're not from this community. And so we do help and kind of manage some referrals even with individuals outside. A lot of those are probably going to be our online educational courses. So those are self-pay programs that those juveniles might be receiving as well. But we do have some individuals, if the crime is happening here in Moorhead, we're still working through those. So for prevention cases, these are individuals who are not yet gotten, or it hasn't been to the point of law enforcement involvement, but they're kind of seeing that things are either bubbling up. We have students that are self-referring, actually. They've said that we have issues with another student. How can you help me kind of work through this? And so those prevention referrals, I think, are really impactful, and that's a lot of the work that Peter's doing right now, too. And then 145 were direct diversion referrals, either through law enforcement or the county attorney's office, and then 20 were from disposition. So these would be after someone's gone through court. There's some restorative practices opportunities we can do while on probation. So those numbers definitely increased from 24 to 25. A lot of that, again, I think is just a role of Peter being in the schools, us being a little more prevention focused to try to alleviate and address these issues sooner than it becoming a criminal act. And so the prevention, it was just great to see how much more we can do kind of on the front end. So we're seeing an increase. A lot of that too, I think, is just being in the schools, being present. I know both Lucas and Peter are individuals that students, teachers, and administrators recognize and are kind of reaching out to them to let them know what's going on and trying to get a handle on things. So as far as the grant portion of this funding, we do receive Clay County Collaborative funds, and then most of the growth that we were able to have came from this Restorative Practices Initiative grant. And so we had some budgeting set aside for consulting. Check and Connect is through Moorhead Area Public Schools. We were able to partner with them to hire a full-time truancy coordinator. That would be Brody Clark is his name. So he is working with students who are really at the cusp of not quite that full 15-day drop, but kind of that's where they're going is some of those really those truancy concerns. And so he's doing daily check-ins with them, whether that's one-on-one or electronically texting them, where are you at school, how are things going, and then there's weekly face-to-faces that he's having with those students as well. And program evaluation, we're meeting with an individual from UND who's helping us just kind of work through efficiency, how are we showing our success as far as this program goes, and so that's been, I think, will be a really beneficial thing too on the back end of this to show what this 18 months has been for this funding. And then we do have some restitution dollars, which is a great resource that we have available. A lot of juveniles, if they have a criminal offense that then they're responsible for that cost, it's either on the parents or we're trying to recoup that in a lot of different ways, and it's really challenging. So through this grant, we were able to allocate a certain set of funding to be able to pay to make that victim whole for what they were out. And in lieu of that, we're asking juveniles to do community service. So we kind of have a graph designated by how many hours they would need to do in order to kind of show their faith in kind of getting this reimbursement given to the victim. So it's been a great opportunity that we just haven't had funding like that for in the past. And then the rest really is just that assistance with helping fund both Peter fully, but then a portion of Lucas's role as well. And then just as far as victim services, really just the amount of contacts with victims and our increase over the years. We're just, again, I think what we're seeing is the numbers might not be that much more, but the severity of the cases and the longevity of having contact with these individuals, I think, is where we're really seeing the impacts of that.
And with that, again, thank you for everything, the support of our office and support of public safety and everything that all of you do for it. So much appreciated. Been a busy year, and I expect it'll be a busy year upcoming.
Yeah, fantastic. Yes, Commissioner Heminger?
Yeah, I just want to jump in. Part of my portfolio, I'm on the RPAC Committee, Restorative Justice Practices. Michelle has done a remarkable job at getting grant funding. And with that money, she's put together a great group of community members on RPAC. And I can't say enough about Peter and Lucas and Brody. You've got some real exceptional, great people that are working with our schools, and the kids relate to them. I work out with one of the teachers at Moorhead High and knows these two guys like she just gives the highest praise to them. And they relate to the kids, and they do really good work. I can't say enough about that. This is an area that's overlooked a whole lot of places. And this is pulling kids out of a situation before it becomes ingrained or more ingrained, and gives kids that have made a mistake a chance to own their actions and be accountable for them, but not go into life with a label. And it's just been a great experience for me to work with them, and I can't say enough about it. Michelle's done an excellent job.
Thank you so much for the work that you do for the county. We really are grateful for all of that. And I echo the sentiments on the grant pieces. Finding folks that can write well to secure funding to continue the great work. And I'm sure that you'll need some grant funding potentially for the dog piece. I don't know if that's...
I think largely that's going to come through use with forfeiture funds. We'll be able to fund any piece of that with forfeiture. I think.
Wonderful. Well, thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and take a 5-minute break quick. Okay, item 12, we're back, is a request for approval for the Clay County Board of Commissioners to send a letter to Minnesota DNR requesting an extension for public comment opportunity pertaining to the recent release of the public water inventory study.
All right.
Aaron, you're going to pitch
Thank you,
it?
Madam Chair. I'm going to try to pitch it. My next two things deal with water and not my wheelhouse except for drinking it, so I'm going to try to muddle through this. As you know, and last week, we had a few citizens come in and describe the difficulty that they were having in filling out the forms for the Minnesota DNR for the public water inventory study. And unfortunately, that the comment period was only 60 days and ends on February 19th. And so Commissioner Bear asked that we submit a letter to the Minnesota DNR requesting a 30-day extension to that comment period. And so that is what's in your packet on, I don't know what page it is, but the letter's in your packet, and the request is to send that to DNR to see if they would extend the comment period for another 30 days.
Good job, Darren. Commissioner Bear?
So after last week's meeting, I had some more landowners reach out to me and explain the difficulty of putting comment in. So I thought this would be a good idea to see if we could get them to extend it 30 more days. So the 60 days, it's a 60-day comment period, but the first 30 days, they sent out a letter notifying us about a public hearing 30 days later. And then after that 30 days, that's when the last 30 days starts. And it's coming to a head here on Friday,
Thursday, I think it's Thursday, the 19th.
the 19th or 20th, but yeah. So with this letter, hopefully they'll extend it another 30 days, especially Clay County being the first county to go through this. I think that hopefully they'll listen to us and give the landowners another 30 days to get through this process and see how it works out. So that's why I asked for this letter and I support this letter.
Commissioner Kavanaugh, did you have that come? Okay.
Support it and make a motion.
Is,
Wait,
I just,
so Commissioner
couple-
Kavanaugh made a motion. Do you want a second?
second.
Okay, Commissioner Ebinger, comments?
I thought we were one of 5 counties that are doing it.
Or,
One of 4, but we were the first one to hold the public hearing of the 4.
Have we reached out the other 4 to see if they want to join us in this effort?
I have not yet, no.
so Commissioner Ebinger, to that question, one, we've not reached out to the other counties, but shortly after the hearing that was held at the Yumcoms, Commissioner Bear and I had AMC's Environment Policy Analyst Brian Martinson reach out to us to ask us about potential issues that had been brought up from residents during that time, all falling sort of within the same area. Because I heard Thursday that we were putting this on the agenda, I did have a chance to circle back with Brian about the dialogue. There have been some additional comments from folks that have expressed difficulty with the mediums allowed to submit comments. And he did generally support what Clay County's doing here, understanding that this is a short turnaround and given session starts at noon, might not have official action from DNR, but thought it was important for counties to go on the record about the counties or the difficulties being encountered. Now, I think it's important for the public to know that because the comments are set to close on Friday, DNR will start working through the comments that have been received. And there is an ability, not official, but an ability for folks to continue to upload comments during the process as they work through that. And then once DNR weighs in on official comments on the received questions, there'll be an additional 90-day time frame for folks to submit comments. So there is an avenue for folks to continue to do this, but given the fact that Commissioner Bear expressed we're the first 4 counties to do this, we're the first county to have the deadline, making sure that they tweak this for a better user-friendly process moving forward is the most important.
There's still a lot of counties out there that haven't even started in this, and we can impact on that. That's a great, I appreciate Commissioner Bear bringing this to, bringing up this idea, and it addresses the concerns we've heard from our constituents, so very, very much supportive of this.
We do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Could we also send the letters to Senator Kupek and Representative Joy, so they're aware of it?
Let's copy Kupek, Joy, well, all of them.
All 5.
Keeler, Gander, and Johnson.
Yeah.
I'll accept that in the motion.
Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Item 13 is a request approval to submit congressional directed funding application, Clay County's manganese and arsenic mitigation, West Central Regional Water Supply Project. Darren, are you pitching this one too?
I'm gonna tackle this one too. This is a West Central Regional Water Supply Project, as you know, goes from Norman and Polk County and Clay County. And what they're looking at is bringing over 40,000 residents and businesses a sustainable and abundant water supply coming from, I believe it's the source is North Dakota.
Yeah, East Central Regional
Up
Water
north,
District.
yeah.
As of now.
And so they are looking for a grant to, I believe it's to water test for these manganese and arsenic levels within the water supply. And the cost for that testing would be $5,566 and, I'm sorry, $5,566,888. So
that's,
that would be more than just testing.
that's what we are looking for to receive from the, where are we at here?
The application
Yes,
pot
the application
totals
pot total.
5,000,000.
Yes.
Okay.
888.
And we've applied for this through Clay County from years past, so this isn't the first time Clay County's doing this on behalf of West Central Regional Water District.
The only clarification maybe for the minutes would be that it's identified that that's the pool of money. The cost impact is slightly deceiving. It looks like it could potentially be a Clay County specific. So let's just have the minutes reflect that if that's the intent.
That's the intent.
Any further discussion?
Hearing none, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the submitting the Congressional directed funding application for the West Central Regional Water District project.
We have a motion offered from
second.
Commissioner Bear, a second from Commissioner Krabanoff. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ebinger, committee reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last Tuesday on the 10th, I attended with the rest of the County EDC, EDA quarterly discussion. Matt Lyseth is a new executive director of Downtown Moorhead, Inc., or Moorhead Downtown, Inc. We've had a lot of support from them in the past, and Matt gave us some information on what's going on in downtown Moorhead, and he also indicated a fairly good idea of the county position on a lot of things. Update on social media and highlighting businesses and Clay County land availability and promotion of economic development tools. I had a brief update on Innovate 28 and Clay County Commission choosing not to participate in that. Had reports from the cities on this, and it really was impressive what they're doing out in some of our smaller cities in the county. A lot of good ideas and a lot of good energy. Dilworth, Barnesville, Hawley really are breaking some ground in growth and in funding on things. So it's all things considered, it was a very impressive meeting. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Ebinger. Commissioner Krabanoff?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Tuesday the 10th, along with the rest of you, I was part of the EDC and EDA, which Commissioner Ebinger just reported on very thoroughly. I really don't have anything to add other than just double down on how effectively the work is going for these four communities that we talked to with the bigger projects and growth for their own communities. On Wednesday the 11th, I, along with Steve Summers from Solutions Behavioral Health went down to the cities, to the Association of Minnesota Counties, and met with a ad hoc group between AMC and Minnesota Indian Affairs Council. We gave a presentation for our two-step process with the PRTF and the non-secure requests that we're trying to get bonding for from legislature this session. A lot of support by all the tribes, and yeah, it was afternoon well spent. We discussed it for over an hour, so a lot of positive feedback and energy to move into session. And then on Thursday, I was part of the SWCD meeting. I think on those notes, I think I'll pass on to Ezra, and he can give a more thorough report. That's all my meetings.
Thank you, Commissioner Kravinoff. Commissioner Bear.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was also at the EDC meeting last Tuesday, and then that night I went to 3 township meetings: Spring Prairie, Glendon, and Riverton Township. Attended all 3 of those meetings, gave them an update at what's happening at the county, and informed them about the public hearing on the rifle zone that we did earlier that day. Then on Wednesday, the 11th, I was at the Wild Rice Watershed District meeting. It was a quick meeting. They only had 5 applications there. 2 of them were tabled, 1 was returned, and 1 was approved, and 1 was withdrawn. We also had another public waters input there, update there from Wild Rice, because of a lot of the property in Clay County is in the Wild Rice District that is being added. So we discussed that at that meeting as well. And then Thursday, I went to the SWCD board meeting where we discussed farmstead windbreaks and field windbreaks, where they approved about, 6 field windbreaks and another 4 farmstead windbreaks for cost share. And then we also discussed the public waters input study that they're doing, and we went more in depth with them there. They came out of that meeting going to be sending a letter to the DNR as well to ask them to come out and look at all the properties that they're potentially adding, to actually have them physically come out and look at them, put boots on the ground. So they'll be sending that letter out. Hopefully, that was a meeting, hopefully they'll have it sent out. If they haven't, I haven't followed back to see when they've gotten it sent out, but they plan on getting it sent out this week. And then that evening, I went to Mullen Township and Highland Grove meeting. I went to both those meetings also on Wednesday, Thursday night. And then last night, I went to the Keene Township meeting. So I've attended a few township meetings and given them updates on, what's happening at the county with the West Regional Water District meetings and shotgun rifle zones, and other updates in the county. So that was all the meetings I had, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Bear. Last week, I also had the opportunity to attend the EDA, EDC meeting. Really grateful for that opportunity to hear from them. They just do such a great job of finding additional resources and grants available for their communities. Barnesville just had a federal awardee of some congressional designated funds as well. That's really exciting. But to hear from all of them what they're doing, and then to talk a little bit about how we can continue to collaborate with them or share resources to expedite the cause. We did have a pretty good discussion about legislative priorities and how we can continue to help each other going forward there as well. Earlier that day, I had the PIC committee meeting. We did have a long discussion on all of the items that this board did address earlier, so I appreciate this board's support on that. The Wednesday, the 11th, I attended the Red River Basin Commission Joint Powers Board meeting. We had a really good updates on some of the grant processes and work there. I attended the Buffalo Red River Watershed District Citizen Advisory Committee. Great updates on those projects. Particularly of note are the Clay County ones that they're continuing or just starting, so I appreciate that dialogue. Did we cancel the legislative meeting that day? Okay. I believe we did have a Clay County Legislative Planning meeting. We talked about the session that starts here in 2 hours. So we will continue the work. I'll head down to the Twin Cities in a half hour to make sure we're there for the opening day of session. And then that day I also had the solid waste discussion. We did discuss a number of issues that are moving forward, particularly in the realm of the demo landfill discussion. Thursday morning, I had an additional watershed policy committee meeting. Did have some discussion on some work with Houston agreements moving forward. And then traveled down to St. Paul. I attended Thursday and Friday the AMC Futures Committee meeting. Really great planning and dialogue. We had a long discussion with DOC representatives, particularly in the rulemaking realm. What is the process for rulemaking? What is the input ability for rulemaking? What is that cycle and how it gets back to legislators, which it doesn't really seem like rulemaking discussion does get back to legislators. I know we've had this discussion in regards to environment, natural resources issues as well. And so how do we fill that void so that we're educating legislators that are making the rules on issues that are really pertinent to folks locally? So really great updates on that. And then we did have representatives from the Minnesota Sheriff's Association. As you know, the Sheriff's Association did have a vote of no confidence with the commissioner. And so how do we bridge that gap since we're all really working together on issues? And then also had a long discussion with the deed commissioner on issues that local folks are seeing, particularly with paid family implementation, and how if there's any room for negotiations when we see some issues that might gaps in what's allowed and not allowed. So definitely more to come on that one, but we will see. And that, I believe, concludes my reports. Darren.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First and foremost, and probably the most important, is that Anna and Eric welcomed a new baby boy last Tuesday. All are doing well and healthy, as far as I know. I did ask her if she was coming back to work on Monday, and I did not hear back from her, so I'm assuming I'm going to be in that role for the next 12 weeks. So congratulations to them. Tuesday the 10th, I also attended the PIC meeting. Most of the items were dealt with today. We do appreciate the department heads not having to come back and that things are on the consent agenda if they're just replacing an employee that's already been budgeted for. I think that certainly helps, and we can try that and see if it works. I also attended the EDC EDA meeting, which has already been covered. On Wednesday, the 11th, we had a Clay County management meeting. Some of the things that we discussed there, we discussed the April 24th management retreat and what that's going to entail, and trying to get maximum participation on that. We notified the department's heads of the change from 1,000 to 5,000 for the inventory asset policy and the 1,000 to 10,000 for the building asset policy, which the board approved, I believe it was last week. We discussed some of the 2026 legislative priorities. We had an update from IT on the new app extender program, which is what HR uses and other departments use for all of our file documentation and data. We got an update on the GIS website accessibility improvements, and we discussed that during Mark's department update when he gave that on making our website accessible. Meeting referenced the background checks for detox with Melissa, Jesse, and Troy. Legislative planning meeting, I also attended that. The building committee meeting. One of the big projects this year is the replacement of the heating plant roof at a cost of about $100,000. Joe went through that. Also discussed the security at the front desk of the courthouse and how that can be configured better to have more people come in and not have to stand outside when they're processing people through the metal detectors. We talked about public health giving up a portion of their area, and we also talked about the LEC. The BCA came down and did an inspection on the LEC and had some security concerns about some of the windows and the door alarms. So Joe is working on that as well. And then we also talked about the county conference space and who can use county meeting rooms and when. So Joe put together a policy on that. And so I'm assuming eventually that will come to the full board for approval. Meeting with Corey referenced the demo landfill and some of the portions that might be available going forward. It's still in the initial planning phases. And we also discussed the SCORE funding and how funds are distributed and trying to come up with a fair calculation method. So that was all on February 11th. So it was a very busy day. On the Thursday, the 12th, I had discussions with Quinn on some personnel issues. Had an email going to the 49ers group on the maintenance supervisor and road foreman moves that we were planning to do, which we discussed today. And on Friday, had a meeting with Steve to discuss items that may come up during his vacation time. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Darren. Brian?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Sarah, do you have anything? Okay, all right. Any other business before the board? If not, our next meeting would be Tuesday, February 24th at 8:30. We are adjourned.